All right, so welcome back to some more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky, and let's continue. I walked counter to the throng of people heading toward the scene of the explosion. The explosion happened in Shibuya-ku, Jinan 1 Combe, near the intersection of Koendori and Oregon Hill. There's a gun pressed against my back, leaving me no choice but to continue marching forward. I don't have time for this right now. There's something I need to do. My frantic sense of urgency grows and grows. Kanan. The only clue I have is that name. The other hazy snippets that have surfaced in my memory provide no answers. Please, just tell me, I murmur. Do you know who I am? When the man with the cane doesn't answer, I stop in my tracks. I'm going to start shouting, I warn him. If you want to find out who you are, then do as I say. The barrel of the gun jabs more forcefully into my back. Once we find Hitomi Osawa, you'll remember whether you like it or not. Guess I have no choice but to keep moving then. Are your memories really that precious to you, I mean? The man mutters as we start to move again. I'm taken back by the question. Well, yes, I mean, isn't that pretty normal? There's a bit of a pause before he replies, his voice said, sad and distant. You're not going to remember just the good times, you know. What do you mean? I mean that sad and painful memories are going to resurface too. I guess I hadn't really thought about that. But still, whatever kind of memories there are, they're all a part of me. I'm the person I am now because of the sorrow and pain too. I want to remember. I want to remember who I am. The gunman directs me dispassionately along a series of quiet side streets. Right here. I stop at his words. In front of us is an old multi-tenant office building. We ride the elevator to the 8th floor, then use the emergency exit to take the stairs up to the rooftop. A cool breeze blows across my cheek. Sit down there. I do as he says, settling myself on the outdoor air conditioning unit. The man lowers his gun but keeps it in hand. But we'll wait here for a bit. For how long? He lets out a rueful chuckle. Guess we'll have to wait and see. I decide there's no point in trying to fight with him. For now, I have to hope he's telling the truth, and whatever's coming will help me get my memories back. If I don't know my past, how can I know what to do about this Kanan stuff or anything else? I stare up at the sky as I wait for whatever this assassin is waiting for. The silence between us is suffocating. Finally, I can't take it any longer. Hey, so I think this is yours. I hold out the notebook I picked up earlier. The man's surprise is plain on his face. Where did you get that? I saw the picture inside. He snatches the book out of my hand. Then he flips through it looking sad. I'm afraid that another agonizing silence is about to descend when he speaks at last. This is a picture of me and my childhood friends. His voice is low and quiet. We were inseparable back when we were kids. The boy here, he liked to fiddle with machines, always doing things like taking apart radios and whatnot and putting them back together. He was a total bookworm too, so he got picked on a lot. But I was always there to save him from the bullies. All of a sudden, The guy's in a sharing mood, I guess. I can feel his aura of murderous rage starting to abate. The girl here was the same age as us, but she felt more like a big sister. Whatever stupid things my other friend and I got up to, she was always willing to laugh it off. Decided to stay quiet and keep listening. What was her name? I asked, curious to know more. So was this some sort of love triangle? Well, okay then. I guess I'm the nosy sort. I decided to stay quiet and keep listening. We both had a thing for her. A bashful little smile comes to his face. When we were in high school, she told me that she liked me too. So the two of us started dating. But I just have to ask, what about the other guy? He never said anything. I'm not sure how he felt deep down. Oh, all right. But then is she your wife now? No, we broke up not too long afterward. The man carefully slips a notebook into the pocket inside his jacket. How come? It was nothing in particular, really. Things just didn't work out. He lets out a little chuckle, then stands up and brushes the dust off his pants. He looks strangely lonely. Arriving back at the Shibuya precinct, Kano hurried to the interrogation room. With the investigation currently on hold, he knew that taking any official action would be tricky. If he was going to break through this stalemate, he was going to need Tateno's help. The abduction, the ransom, the attaché case relay, Maria's release, and then Tanaka's death. Maybe Tateno would be able to figure out how all these elements were related. But first, Kano needed to check something for himself. Tateno would never have let Al Karawan go free. Kano needed the prisoner to set the record straight. Al Karawan sat in the precinct interrogation room looking brazen and cocksure. One glance at his face and Kano was reminded of what had happened to Sasayama. Fresh anger smoldered at the edges of his mind. There were two detectives already in the room. It seems he wasn't made privy to the details, one of them told Kano. Sounds like they were following orders, carrying that attaché case around. The other added. Kano sat down across from Al Karawan. There's something I'd like to ask you, he said. We were just paid to do a job. I don't know anything more than that. His Japanese was imperfect, but he understood the language well enough. Tell me, how did you manage to escape from Detective Tateno? Escape? I didn't. A faint smile came to Al Karawan's lips. He let me go free. Liar! Detective Tateno would never do that. Kano slammed the desk with his fist. I didn't have handcuffs on, did I? He took them off for me. This had to be a lie. It's not like they were There weren't other ways to remove a pair of handcuffs. Told you. The detective's in on it. That's why in Aichi's story, him and Kanan know each other. After he took off the handcuffs, Al-Karawan continued. He pointed his gun at him. Cut the crap. Kano grabbed the prisoner by the collar. But Al-Karawan went on, unperturbed. He kept the gun pointed at me, but he didn't pull the trigger. So that's when I ran. Why would Detective Tateno want to shoot you? Because I saw him. Saw him? Saw him do what? Let me tell you something interesting, Al-Karawan said sardonically. There was that girl who was carrying the ransom, right? Kano pictured Hitomi standing anxiously beside the statue. That guy Tateno was trying to kill her. What? In a fit of rage, Kano drove his fist into Al-Karawan's face. His colleagues rushed to interpose themselves. Kano, calm down. Knocked to the floor, Al-Karawan gingerly fingered his split lip. And after I gave you such good info too, he grumbled. Detective Tateno was assigned to protect Hitomi Osawa, Kano shouted. You can't expect me to believe your rubbish. He lunged around the table, ready to throw another punch, but his fellow detectives held him back. Al-Karawan looked away indifferently. It's your detective, Tateno, you should be arresting, not me. That girl is going to get killed. You need to step in line, pal, Kano bellowed. Kano, his colleague shouted. You're the one who needs to step in line. Go and cool off for a bit. Expelled from the interrogation room, Kano immediately pulled out his cell phone and called Tateno's number. Please pick up. He clutched his phone tight, pleading under his breath. But Tateno didn't answer. Kano sat down in a chair in the hallway in a bit of a daze. He found himself holding the present Sasayama had gotten for his wife. I have to do something. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. His restlessness gnawed at him like a rabid animal. Hey, Kano. He looked up to see Kuze standing beside him, his expression grave. I have an update on Sasayama, the director began. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. It seems the knife went in deep enough to do some organ damage. He's in critical condition. I see. Kano bit his lip hard. His handkerchief, red with Sasayama's blood, clung to the wrapping paper of Sasayama's present. Kano peeled it away carefully so as not to tear the paper beneath. What's that? Asked Kuze. Sasayama had me hold on to this for him. It's a present for his wife. Ah, I see. I'm sorry, Director Kuze. For ignoring your orders. Kano's eyes remained fixed on the gift as he spoke. When you get down to it, none of this would have happened if it weren't for me. Some kind of punishment was surely headed his way for acting alone as he'd had. He probably wasn't getting out of this one with a simple written apology. When public servants are negligent in their duties or violate regulations, they can be punished with a warning, a formal reprimand, reduction in pay, suspension, or dismissal. But Kuze calmly shook his head. What happened to Sasayama isn't your fault. Don't blame yourself, he said. As far as this case goes, I've been given quite the runaround myself. There was a rare note of vulnerability in Kuze's voice. The higher-ups have barely let any information trickle my way, but they're still ordering me around non-stop. It's a real pain in the butt. As Kuze fell silent, ruminating, the quiet lingered between the two men for several moments before he abruptly spoke again. "All right, I'd like to get your opinion on something. So, Mamoru Tanaka, who we found in the minivan, what you think? Should we oughta maybe release his name to the media?" Kuze had slipped into his childish register. He was clearly exhausted. After dealing with the kidnapper's baffling actions and too much meddling from the higher-ups, even a veteran like Kuze is just beat. Kano was thrown by the question. It was a rare thing for the director to seek an opinion from a mere junior detective. It feels like there's something not too normal about one of Kenji Osawa's subordinates dying. Kano had had the same thought. This felt too intentional to be a coincidence. So there's the question. Should I get the media involved and try to rush for a resolution? Or should I be more cautious? What would you do? About releasing the name? That wasn't such a simple thing to answer. There were so many factors to consider. A tired smile came to Kuze's face. Don't think about it too hard. This is just so I have a point of reference. Tell me what your gut says. I think releasing the name should be alright. I think we should hold back for now. I can't make that decision, sir. I think we should hold back for now. We still don't know if Mamoru Tanaka was murdered or if he committed suicide, Kano pointed out. We should at least wait until we know that much. This case has so many loose ends that could lead in dangerous directions. Yeah, all them bad endings I done got. It would pay to be as prudent as possible. Kuze paused for a moment in thought, then nodded. I see what you mean. All right, then. Then without another word, he headed back toward the conference room. On the TV, the governor's press conference was still going on. I've just requested that each of the railroad companies, starting with JR, stop running trains through Shibuya Station until further notice. As far as the roads go, Route 246 has already been closed to traffic. The executive looked pale as he spoke to the crowd. Is there any possibility of a bioterrorist attack? What about the people who are still in Shibuya? The reporters unleashed a barrage of questions. The governor's face scrunched up. As I've already made clear, this is not a complete blockade. Because modern Japan does not have a system for enacting martial law, there are fewer ways that the government could effectively quarantine Shibuya. There's nothing to stop anyone from leaving Shibuya on foot. Isn't that what you're describing, de facto martial law? Spat one reporter. Of course not, the governor snapped. You should be well aware that martial law is illegal. I couldn't declare it even if I wanted to. If you wanted to? So this is a bioterrorist issue then. I never said anything of the sort. The press conference was devolving into chaos. Kano was unsurprised given the circumstances. Still, everyone was doing their best insofar as they knew how. So why not me, Kano thought. It doesn't matter what I do. I just want to be doing something. Just letting time tick by without trying to take action was more than he could bear. Kano began to worry about Rumi and decided to give her a call. Was worried about Sasayama and decided to visit him in the hospital. Oh boy. Thought about Sasayama's wife and decided to get in touch with her. He did say to give the present to her. I feel like it's A or B. As he was making his way toward the hospital, Kano spotted a girl sitting on the pedestrian overpass. She looked like she was on the verge of tears. Concerned, he stopped he stopped beside her. Are you waiting for someone? He asked. The girl simply bit her lip and said nothing. Are you lost? Do you need a policeman? The relatively low crime rate in Japan, combined with rather high police personnel numbers in Tokyo, mean that officers, particularly beat cops, often have plenty of bandwidth to deal with more minor issues. Again, the girl gave no answer. Where did you come from? Kano tried. Still nothing. He had just decided to go and call for a female officer when the girl hesitantly spoke at last. Heaven Publishing. After a little coaxing, she told him where that was. Turned out it was on the way to Shibuya Central Hospital, not too far from where they were now. Why don't I take you there, then? Kano said. I'm already headed in that direction anyway. The girl seemed a bit reluctant at first, but eventually she agreed to go with Kano. Kano parted ways with the girl outside the building where Heaven Publishing was located. He noticed that she hesitated to enter at first, but eventually vanished inside. Kano's phone rang as he was about to continue on his way. When he peered at the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. It was Tateno's name. Kano quickly pressed the button to accept the call. Detective Tateno? Detective Tateno, is that you? There was a whole mountain of things Kano wanted to ask. Just what had he been doing this whole time? Why had he let Al-Karan go free? And what had happened to Hitomi? But while he was trying to decide what question to pose first, Tateno spoke. I've secured Maria Osawa. What? The guy on the roof? Wait a minute. What? The word came out a startled gasp. Like, yeah, I just got startled. Detective Tateno, you have to bring her here ASAP. Right now, Tateno cut him off. You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa? Yes. I heard over the wireless that the man from the U.S. Embassy had her in custody. Kano hadn't been listening to the most recent wireless traffic. Apparently Stanley had managed to find Hitomi. Yep, in the hospital with Aichi. But what was Tateno getting at here? Wait, hold on. What for? I mean, why do you need me to bring Hitomi Osawa to you? There was no reply. Detective Tateno, answer me, please. Tateno replied as if he hadn't heard Kano's questions. There's an office building in Napidai called South Hill. I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. Wow. If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. What? That's the guy on the roof. With that grisly warning, he hung up. Kano's hand went limp, his phone slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor. Kano went to South Hill and Napidai alone. He hadn't brought Hitomi as Tateno had demanded, nor had he reported the situation to Kuze. First, he wanted to meet with Tateno and find out what was going on. He took the elevator to the 8th floor. After that, he had to take the stairs to the rooftop. As he made his way up the steps, he tried to imagine what Tateno might want with Hitomi. He hadn't noticed anything suspicious about the senior detective in the lead-up to the stakeout at the Scramble. Tateno had seemed like the same man Kano had always revered. So what? Oh, shoot, I skipped it. Kano couldn't think of a reason. Reaching the top of the staircase, He at last stepped out onto the open roof. The time for half-baked conjecture was past. Kano would lay his doubts at Totino's feet. Then, soon enough, everything would become clear. Inwardly, Kano did his best to convince himself of that. A warm breeze blew against his cheek. He took a look around but saw no sign of Totino. Detective Totino, where are you? Where are you? Getting no response, he began to walk around the rooftop, calling out several more times. It's Kano. I've come as you asked. Where's Hitomi Osawa? Kano whirled around when he heard the voice behind him. Totino was the assassin. Totino stepped into view from behind a water tank. He led with him a young woman bound and blindfolded. Why didn't you bring her? He growled. Kano stared in shock. Detective Totino? Why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? I hear a faint voice and realize that the man is listening to a wireless radio. I managed to secure Hitomi Osawa at Shibuya Central Hospital. A gleam comes into the gunman's eyes. He pulls his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. I've secured Maria Osawa, he says to whoever's on the other end. Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa? You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa? If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now? Voice wavers uncontrollably. What do you mean you'll kill me? Don't look at me like that. He steps in closer to me, his expression dangerous. The killer's edge that he'd lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. He blindfolds my eyes with some sort of towel. I can't see through it at all. Just then, I hear Kanan's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass, tumbling through my mind, all out of sequence. How are you able to do that with that string so tangled up? Once you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Kanan how to do a cat's cradle. Shoot. Huh? She doesn't get hold of it quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. No, not like that, I say. Work your index fingers through the front part of the string. No, I get that. Kanan's getting irritated. But after giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There we go, she says. Look at that. Seeing her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Thanks for teaching me. Oh, it's nothing special. Here, as thanks, let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. Kanan has been training me in some form of self-defense. Don't overthink it, she says. People will either try to punch you, kick you, or grab you. If you can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demands some defensive movements as I watch. She demonstrates. Excuse me. I follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Okay, let's do this. Kanan throws a punch at me. I dodge, grab her by the waist, and give her an arm a hard twist. By the wrist, I'm going so fast. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming to her face. Nicely done. I stare down at my own hand. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movements enough, your body will treat them like second nature. I do as she says, trying to repeat the movements over and over. At first, it feels like a silly gimmick, but eventually I can feel the motions growing smoother. There you go. People like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. Thugs. Now my memories zip further back into the past. I was wandering the streets trying to get back to my hotel, but I got lost. By the time I realized I had wandered into some dodgy back streets, I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. They must have been thugs looking for terrorists to rob. If they had caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. If they hadn't, Kanan had seen to that. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I didn't want there to be a scene here, Kanan says bluntly as she surveys the aftermath of the thug's attack. That's all. I'd happened to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. Bit by bit, my memories of Kanan are starting to resurface. Just a little more. Just a little more, and I'll have myself back, I'm sure of it. Detective Tateno, where are you? A man's voice suddenly snaps me back into the moment. It's Kano. I'll come as you ask. The gunman grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. Where is Satomi Osawa? He snarls. Didn't you bring her? Why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? First thing I see is a huge blimp drifting slowly by the overhead. Huh? I'm sure I've seen it before. And pretty recently at that. There's a flash of revelation inside my head, like a dam bursting. My memories come flooding back to me. Last night, I was at a party, a sort of mixer with the exchange students. Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister Hitomi. And so I told Hitomi that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. I had a plan to let myself get abducted in Hitomi's place. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Wherever I happened to be taken, Kanan would be able to track my location. What we hadn't counted on, though, was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. I managed to grab hold of it, but I hit my head when I was being shoved into the car, and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall gazing barrenly out of the car window. That was when I saw the blimp right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There was a man talking to someone on a cell phone. Alright, I'll shut her up inside that storeroom. I'll be waiting in the room upstairs. The man dragged me out of the car and shoved me into the dark storage. Woo! Then, I guess for good measure, he hit me on the head again. A hammer. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. You spent your life living in the country, peace in Japan. You couldn't possibly understand me. And again. So it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. The two of us were too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the line? What would you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? A forlorn look came to her face whenever Kanan asked me a new question. And I never had a good answer for any of them. When she saw me deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Who taught you how to do that, she asked. My mother. My real mother, that is. Kanan furrowed her brow. What do you mean, real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see, Kanan said. Her expression remained unchanged. What about your parents? I don't have any. They died during the war. The bluntness of her response made my hands stop, the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were trading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Well, I usually have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear the worst, and I was right. He was killed too, by an arms dealer named Alfred. Her tone was dry, matter of fact. Taking revenge for his death is my sole purpose in life. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was unreadable. It was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alfred? Destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist? Destructionist. Alfred doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. The chaos and destruction is just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist acts. So you're saying this Alfred commits terrorism because it's fun? That's why every now and then Alfred changes loyalties. Just when you think you found ties to some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, turns out the job was just for the American. What the heck? So Alfred stands for nothing then. Kanan smiled dismissively at my little childish outburst. I couldn't help but feel a bit patronized. Twiddled my fingers, turning my cat's cradle into a bridge. Kanan's eyes fixed right back on the string, trying surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She went quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. The tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. My stepmother's the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing, I said at last. For some reason, I had a sudden urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. She's not a bad person, though. She gives me weird bits of advice, like telling me to find someone to date, or that a woman's life is defined by a man. But it's not like I hate her or anything. Would you mind teaching me? Kanan asked softly. What? How to find a guy to date? No. She shook her head, and she pointed to the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. What do you mean this? So I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cradle. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. What was that? That friend you mentioned earlier. What was he like? Kanan's fingers went still. Better if you don't ask. If I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. Even though I'm a terrorist, she replied curtly. swallowed a sudden lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for the righteousness, but you people call us terrorists. Am I wrong? She cast a quick look at my face. But I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied, all I did was take down some thugs. Didn't want them around. What could I say to that? I just stammered. Nah, I'm just messing with you, huh? Kanan flashed me another slight, condescending grin. I was just joking. But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Kanan lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. I could tell that from the cold look in her eyes, a look you'd never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. Just what some sort of hardships she had endured to acquire that deadly stare. Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Kanan tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself. Fingers continued to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. She hooked the string around her fingers and spread her palms, but the string shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Confounded. One more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know, as I plucked the string from Kanan's hands. Pass the string back and forth. Don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. I wrapped the string around my fingertips. What do you say? Want to give it a go? Kanan looked dubious. The intricately intertwined strings were like the world in a way. What had started as a single thread was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. I held my hands out, twirling the string around my fingers. Kanan took the pattern from me. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. The shy grin that came to her face made her finally look like a normal girl. I followed suit with a childish little laugh of my own. And, as if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that had been hanging over my mind finished receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister is Satomi Osawa. And Kanan. She's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once, and now it's my turn to help her. I close my eyes as I reflect upon these precious memories, all the dear for having been lost. Now, when I try to picture Kanan, I can do so clearly. Just as I thought before, my memories are what make me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time had stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it started moving again. I'm finally back to being me. And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.